Welcome to the Perfectly Flawed podcast. Thank you so much for joining me today. For those that don't know you, would you like to give a bit of an overview of yourself?
Hi guys, my name's Kai Edwards. I am 22 years old. I'm a Gold Coast boy and I am on the Australian Dolphin swim team. I compete in the 10-kilometer marathon swim.
Nice. I can imagine the 10K is a pretty brutal race.
Yeah, definitely. And the work that goes with it is just as brutal.
I can imagine. I entered a 10K like a few years back now, but being based in Melbourne, the water's a bit colder down here. So I ended up getting hypothermia and pulled out at 7.5K. So
Oh
I can't
no.
officially say I've completed a 10K yet.
Yeah, maybe one day.
One day we'll get there.
Yeah.
How did you start swimming and what made you fall into the marathon swimming?
Just started swimming, I think because mum and dad always had a pool at home, so they just wanted me to be able to swim. And then just kind of stuck with it. And then when I was about 12, I moved to TSS Aquatic. And my coach at the time had been a marathon swimmer as well, David Proud. And he kind of just saw some potential for long distance events in me. So I did my first 5K open water when I was 13 while still doing pool events, and then progressed to the 10K when I was 17.
Nice. Did you
Yeah.
enjoy the pool swimming or were you just like, nah, the open water's for me?
No, I really enjoyed the pool swimming. I didn't really fall in love with the open water stuff till about 2016, because I remember watching Jared Port do it at the Olympics and I was like, this is just hardcore. Like, I want to do this.
I find some people that I talk to are like totally for the pool or totally for the ocean. There's not really that in between.
No, I like both. I think it's nice sometimes to have a lane rope dividing you from other people when 10K is really brutal. But no, I've got love for both the pool and the open water.
Yeah, I know from my own experience that the open water can be quite rough and very strategic as well.
Yeah, in the pool, it's a bit like you're racing the clock, whereas open water is just you're racing everyone around you. Nothing else matters. And it all comes down to tactics, which I love.
Yeah, it is very much all tactics in the open water. That's what I found. And it's so interesting that, you can have the same set of people, but depending on the conditions can vary where you place, because obviously people have different strengths. Like I've come from a pool background and someone that I've raced against comes from a life-saving background. So depending on the conditions will depend on where we end up.
Yeah, definitely. That's why I love it even more. Like, you can be the best pool swimmer in the world, but that won't necessarily mean that you'll be the best open water swimmer. And obviously the conditions change your strategies. Like, if I know someone's not very good in hot water, I'll change my race tactics and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's so cool how that can happen. You're in quarantine at the moment because you've recently competed in Tokyo. What was it like racing over there?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. I thought initially I'd be a bit blown away by it all, going to the Olympics, but once you're in there, you realize it's just the same preparation as you've done all the races before. And it was all just the same, really. But yeah, it was still special for me because it was such a hard road to get there initially, not qualifying in 2020 and then being able to qualify 2021. So yeah, it's always a real privilege to chuck on the green and gold and race. But yeah, it was just like any other meet, really.
Yeah, and that's the interesting thing that I've spoken to a few people now, and they've all said when it comes down to it, like I've done whatever race it is, like you've done it a million times before, like it's no different.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, it's so
Almost
weird.
you just fall into the habit of it all.
Yeah. You said that it was a hard road. Would you like to expand a little bit more on why it was so tough?
So basically, 2019 was the first qualifying meet at the World Championships for open water. So you needed to be top 10 to qualify for the Olympics. And I placed 14th. So that was a bit bittersweet for me, even though I was the top Aussie there. And then 2020 came around. and our qualification was in January at nationals. And the night before that, I was really ill and had to go to hospital for vomiting and gut aches and all that jazz, and ended up racing the next day, didn't race well. And then I self-funded to go to Doha, which was another qualifying meet for it. Was my first wetsuit swim, didn't race well. So 2020 was a bit of a write-off for me. And then obviously after COVID and during COVID, just changed my mindset and went after it, and it paid off.
Yeah, that's so awesome. I can't even imagine what your headspace would have been like to initially find out that, you didn't qualify. What was that like?
Yeah, it was tough, but at the end of the day in 2020, I wasn't Australia's best open water swimmer. So it matters who's the best on the day. And on the days of qualification last year, I wasn't the best. So I thought that was fair enough. And obviously when I got another chance to do it, I didn't leave any stones unturned type of thing.
Yeah, that's awesome. Have you always had that mindset? Like, I can tell from you that you're so chilled, and I think that's very much a Gold Coast sort of vibe anyway. But do you think that you've always had that, or do you think over time you've learnt to be that way?
I don't know. It's just how I might look like a chill person, but I like to think that I wear my heart on my sleeve, and like if I'm let down, I'll just let that out. Like I don't have any issues hiding my emotions. Like obviously devastated that I didn't qualify, like plenty of tears. But I think at the end of the day, it's just swimming. Like it's just sport. You know, we're not curing cancer. We're just swimming.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think it's easy to get caught up in it all. And I think as athletes, too often we base our own kind of self-worth of how we're performing, which is really, really a toxic thing to do. I know even sometimes I do that. I might have a bad session or a bad meet and I'm like, oh, like I just suck. But then you got to reflect and think it's just sport at the end of the day.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's definitely something that I've questioned myself, particularly through COVID, where you're forced to take a step back from sport. And it's okay. Yes, I am an athlete, but who am I aside from that? What else am I?
Yeah, so important to have that other identity, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. When you do have a hard set, which I'm sure you have had plenty, I can't even imagine the training that you would do. How do you push yourself through that?
I think it's just always remembering my goals, and like obviously not qualifying in 2020. I had a big chip on my shoulder and was just a man on a mission, and I just didn't want to feel like how I felt when I didn't qualify. I think that was a huge, huge motivator for me. But in general, the sessions that I do that are really hard, like I genuinely enjoy just punishing myself. Like this morning, I got on the assault bike for an hour and we'll do like an hour time trial on the assault bike. Like I just enjoy it.
Yeah, I've found it's interesting. Some people say they're like a trainer, and some people say they're a racer. From the sense that you sound like you're a trainer.
Yeah. Yeah. I enjoy it all.
Yeah. Do you ever get anxious or nervous before a race, or are you like reassured by the fact that, yeah, I've done all the training, it's going to be fine?
Well, I think I'm going to surprise you and a lot of people, but when in 2016 during school, I actually saw a psychiatrist for anxiety and was told that I've got generalized anxiety, which was pretty tough, and like obviously worked through stuff with a psychiatrist. So I think in general, I'm always a pretty anxious person. So when it comes to racing and stuff, it's just dealing with it how I would deal with it any other way, like listen to music, write stuff down, have a cry in the shower, like, you know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cry in the shower is like the best therapy ever, I swear.
Oh, you've got to have a good Spotify playlist and just sit down in the shower and have a cry.
Oh, it's so good. It's so therapeutic.
Yeah, definitely.
What was it like when you got that initial diagnosis, and what led to you going to see someone?
So I had a really close mate in school who I'd speak to about it, because I think back then, like it just wasn't spoken about as much as what it is now, mental health. And I knew that he was going through some stuff, and he promoted me to go see our guidance counseling and stuff like that. And then I was obviously telling my partner at the time, and my still current partner at the time, what I was going through. And then telling my parents was pretty hard because they felt like it was their fault type of thing. Like they'd been pressuring me where it just wasn't the case at all. It was just like half the time I'm anxious about stuff that I don't even know I'm anxious about.
Yep.
And then obviously saw someone about it, which helped, but stopped seeing him because I just found ways to deal with it myself as well. Like dad was always a really big advocate of just showing your emotions. So I just feel like when I'm anxious, I don't have to hide it. When I'm upset, I don't have to hide it. Like I don't have an issue with having a cry in the lobby. Like, yeah.
I love that. That's so good. And I think that makes such a big difference, having the support behind you and knowing that it's okay to show how you're feeling.
Yeah, like even like these podcasts now, like so many more people are hearing about it. And I'm sure plenty of people that don't know me will be shocked that I deal with mental health issues as well. So I think it's really positive how it's really come a long way since even 2016 when I was going through all that stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. Do you think that there is, I mean, obviously I'm coming from a different perspective being female. Do you think that there's a stigma being, I guess there's three, one being male, one just mental health in general, and then the third being an athlete?
That's a tough question. Like, I think that all separate have their own sort of issues type of thing. Like they all have their own individual things that people need to work with. I know personally for me, I don't surround myself with people that don't take mental health seriously. I think that in general, you just get drawn to people that care about things like that and important stuff like that. Like I say back in school, I had one friend to talk to about. Now I've got all my mates I can talk to about that stuff.
Yeah.
And I think it's a funny one with the athlete one, because when I'm not at the pool, like I just don't talk about swimming. Like I don't talk about swimming at home or with my mates. Like if they ask about swimming, I'll be like, yeah, like this is what's going on. But I rarely talk about training and stuff when I'm not at the pool.
Yeah. I think from my perspective, and I think some people have sort of resonated with the same sort of feeling, is that as an athlete, you're perceived as being strong both mentally and physically, and it's like you just push through, that's just what you do. And so you don't really speak up about when something is hard and you're like, hey, I actually do need help, this isn't really going the way I want.
Yeah, definitely. Like even at my club, I do some talks with the little kids and I just let them know that even athletes, we have off days. Like there's days where I'll get a bad mark at uni and I'll be upset. And then like Michael Phelps has bad days. Caleb Dressel has bad days. I have bad days. Like we're not superhuman. We're just like everyone else.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's definitely forgotten, particularly, I mean, I guess in recent times with Simone Biles, is that people forget, hey, she's a human as well. Like, yeah, she's an athlete performing on the world stage, but she's a human being just like everybody else.
Yeah, definitely. I think a really good part of my training is that my three main training partners are Kia Melberton, Maddie Goff, and Moesha Johnson. So like with the three girls, like I've got no issue saying like, oh, like let's have a cry in the pool after the session, like type of thing.
That's awesome. I think that's so good. I wish I did that with some friends. We're like, you know what? Let's just go in the shower and just have a cry.
And like I think it's important that people know that I wasn't always like that. Like even even as a youngster, dad will tell you like I just hated hugging people, like hated showing my emotions. And then you get a bit older and you surround yourself with people. And I can remember in my staging camp, my grandfather had a heart attack while I was away in Spain. Just like came downstairs, lobby was packed with food and my coach was down there. He's like, oh, what's wrong? And just like, we both started crying. Like, so now I have no issue with it at all. Like, I don't care what people think if I have a cry. Like, I think it's so important that blokes can have a good cry, and I think a real man can cry. Like a real man, for me, masculinity is being comfortable in your own skin type of thing.
Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that statement anymore. Like, I think for me, I see so much respect for people that can be open about their feelings and be vulnerable. There is strength in vulnerability.
Yeah, I think it's huge who you surround yourself with. Like, I have no issue being vulnerable with the people I'm around with. And I obviously wouldn't feel like that if I was surrounded by people who didn't have the same perspectives as me.
Yeah, absolutely. How do you go then with expectations and handling those? Do you think, I mean, obviously from me having anxiety, I know a lot of them are internal, but how do you deal with external expectations as well?
Uh, that's a good question. Personally, I love it when people doubt me. Like when people say like, oh, you can't do something, I kind of thrive off that.
Yeah.
And I just try not to put too much pressure on myself, because at the end of the day, I'm always just trying to do my best. And I've come to realize that I'm way more satisfied with just doing my best and not worrying about what number that's associated with. Like at the Olympics, I wanted to be top 10, but I came 12th, but I was giving it my all. So I'm happy with that.
Yeah, absolutely. And I definitely resonate with you saying that when someone tells you not to do something, like if there's like a sign on the wall saying don't touch wet paint, it's like, well, now I want to because you said that I can't.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Oh, that's so good. And I think also like doing your best is so important and being satisfied with that. But your best today could look different to your best in 2 weeks as well. And I think that's also important to keep in mind.
Yeah, definitely. It's just what can you produce on a day? And like I said, in 2020, qualifying for the Olympics, like I'm not going to make excuses. Like I just wasn't the best athlete that day. Like people were better than me, and you just got to accept that and just do your best.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's so awesome that you're able to recognize that. What would you say has been one of your biggest challenges or setbacks so far?
Oh, I think I divide them up physically and mentally. Physically, my biggest setback was when I came off my skateboard. I thought it was a good idea to hold on to the back of my girlfriend's car without a helmet or shoes or a shirt, and broke my arm in 2 places. And that was pretty rough. But I think emotionally, 2018 and 2020 were rough. The 2 years I didn't make teams.
Yep.
Yeah, that was probably the lowest that I've been, and probably the 2 times that I've really questioned whether or not I wanted to keep swimming.
How do you come out of that then? Because obviously you're still swimming today, and from what I can see, pretty content with what you've achieved so far. How do you come out of a place like that?
Well, in 2018, I kind of took a step back and enjoyed myself. I think I was about 19 at the time and went to New Zealand with my girlfriend on a holiday and just got away from swimming. And 2020 was the same. Being in lockdown, we didn't really get a choice, but just getting away from the pool for a bit and just going back to it when you want to get back to it. And I was just both times just naturally drawn to it. At the end of the day, I love the sport, and a part of it is the heartbreak of it all, but the highs of it are just so worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's really important to remember. And a really good skill to have is that, okay, like things aren't going the way I want. I need to take a step back and I'll come back when I'm ready.
Yeah, definitely.
What other skills and strategies do you think that you have learnt along the way that have been super helpful?
Skills and strategies. I'm not sure what strategies I'd have dealing with the highs and lows of it all. I think a huge one would probably be my outlook on talking about it. Like when I'm at the pool, we talk about swimming. When I'm not at the pool, nothing gets said about swimming type of thing. Because I think it can so easily dominate your life if you're talking about swimming and hanging out with swimmers all the time. It was pretty funny because a lot of my mates didn't realize I swim in the open water till the qualifying meet. When they watch me race, they're like, bro, why didn't you tell us you swim in the open water, not the pool? I was like, I don't know. Like, I just don't talk about it.
That's so interesting. I think that's a really interesting thing to do. It's not something that I've really done, but I think it's great that you're able to separate the two and know that, okay, swimming is swimming, but I have a life outside of swimming too. Like I have other things to offer apart from my swimming.
Yeah, that's it. Like first, I'm a person, and then next, I'm an athlete after that. I think that's a really important message to even athletes now that we're just people.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more. When you are having an off day, what does that look like and what do you do to move on?
Yeah, off day, I think I can just work myself up with anxiety. Like I'll just work myself up about uni, or I'll work myself up about, oh, I might not be training well. But I think the best thing for me, like even when I leave the pool, I just blast some music that I love. And then by the time I get home, like I'm buzzing, like I've forgotten about the session. It's just being able to feel it all. I just accept it all at once type of thing and just get it all out and then move on and move past it.
Yeah, I think that's awesome. What would you say then? Obviously, we're talking about like a setback. What would you say then is one of your biggest achievements?
Biggest achievements. That's pretty funny because like you ask an athlete that and I feel like they should know a definitive answer, but I reckon it was pretty special coming fifth in the 25K open water. That was probably the hardest mental race I've ever done. But I think it just day to day, I try to just like give myself a pat on the back for doing something. Like, oh, I got through a uni lecture today. Like, good job. Like, smashed myself on the assault bike. Like, good job. So I don't really have like these big like moments. I just try to do little ones throughout the day, I guess.
Yeah, that's so good. I'd love to know more about that 25K race. I can't even imagine. How long does that even take?
It took me 4 hours and 55 minutes.
Wow, that
Yeah.
is insane. I can't
Yeah.
even imagine. What was that like?
Um, it was pretty brutal thinking back on it now, but I love that stuff. Like when someone says like sets a challenge or something, I'm just like buzzing. Like I'll do what I can to do it. And open water specifically, like it's such a brutal race, like throwing elbows and stuff. But I just love all that part. Like I want to feel all the pain. I love it. Like it just makes me feel alive.
Yeah. Have you ever got any injuries from doing an open water race?
Um, nah, just some good bruises. I think nothing too serious.
I know there's times where I've come out with a few scratches down my back or down my arms or legs or whatever.
Yeah, that's just a part of the job.
Sure is. I'd love to know your thoughts on social media. What kind of impact do you think that has?
I think it's huge, to be totally honest with you. And I think it's really positive. Like, even though you're going to have those negative people, like, I think it's just so dominated by positivity at the moment, especially coming out of the Olympics. And we spoke about anxiety and being open and stuff. And even after the Olympics, how many people messaged me that I didn't know? I thought that now's the better time than ever to have a voice and actually talk about what really goes on behind closed doors, like doing those questions on Instagram and stuff like that. And I listen to podcasts as well about other people going through the same struggles, even though they aren't athletes. It's still really relatable. So I thought if I can have a voice now and inspire some kids or let people know that they're not the only ones struggling, like even athletes struggle, I feel like that's more important than winning some medals.
Yeah, absolutely. You said there that there was that conversation at the Olympics around anxiety. What was that conversation?
Or just like people asking on Instagram, like, what was it like in Spain and stuff like that? And how did you deal with the highs and lows? And just expressing myself and telling them, like, yeah, I just had a cry this day. Like, it's good to be vulnerable now, I guess, which is something that I definitely wouldn't have done 12 months ago. So I feel like anyone can grow like that, grow emotionally, and I'm still learning to be vulnerable. Like no one's heard this conversation that we've just had about anxiety and stuff like that. So I think it's a work in progress for me as well as other people.
Yeah, I appreciate you sharing that so much, because I think it's an important conversation to have. And the reason I started this podcast was to be able to provide people the platform to share their story. And hopefully, even if it just makes one person feel less alone, or like, okay, this is normal. I'm not some weird person that has these random thoughts. Other people have these too.
Yeah, it was tough in year 12. I lost a mate of mine to suicide. And then a few months later, another one of my friends attempted suicide. So I think it was a bit of a shock for me, and that no one was really talking about mental health at the time. So like, yeah, that was pretty rough and a bit of a shock to everyone, I guess.
Yeah, I'm so sorry for your loss. It's not an easy thing to go through. But unfortunately, it is so common. There are so many
Yeah.
people that go through that.
Yeah, I think you could ask most people and they'd be able to tell you a pretty common story.
Yeah, unfortunately, is that way. I think most people assume, like, 6 degrees of separation, like someone knows someone that has cancer. But now
Yeah.
I think it's someone that knows someone with some sort of mental health struggle.
Yeah.
It's definitely very common now.
Yeah.
What kind of impact do you think sport has had on your life? And do you think it's changed throughout?
Well, I think it's had a huge impact, even just socially. Like I train with 3 girls, so I can talk to girls now. Like, like it's given me so much structure in my life, having designated times to train and then being able to study at the same time, so I can structure out my days really well. And just as a young kid, I was always really, really anxious and struggled to talk to people, and it just brought me out of my shell essentially. And I was really able to just find myself and what I'm good at and what I enjoy doing. And yeah, I would say the biggest thing it brought me was guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. I think there's so many important lessons that you can learn from sport, and it teaches us so many important skills that we can carry on throughout our life, even if it's not in relation to sport.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say then is a conversation that you would want to be had that wasn't necessarily happening before? Like, what would be the ultimate thing in regards to mental health that you would want people to know?
Probably like I said before, that like even the top athletes are dealing with the same thing that you're dealing with as well. Like we're all having off days, and it's just finding how you can deal with it. So obviously for me, seeing someone didn't really work for me, but talking to a close friend who's gone through the same thing helps way more. Or talking to my girlfriend about, oh, I'm anxious about this, and then she'll give me steps how to do it. So just for me, finding out what I'm actually anxious about is half the battle, because half the time it's just irrelevant, like something that doesn't exist. So putting down steps on how to complete it. Like at the moment, I'm 3 weeks behind on uni, and I've just set it all out, and it's like I've got it. Like it's all good. It's sweet.
Yeah, definitely. I think breaking it down into smaller pieces so it's less overwhelming is so helpful.
Yeah, definitely.
What would you say then is your definition of success, and have you achieved that?
Definition of success. I think that just is a reflection of how you view how you race. Like for me, success has always been trying my best, whether that was at the pool or whether that was in the gym or in a race. Just success is trying your best, I guess, in simple words.
Yeah, that's awesome. What would your upcoming goals be? Like, you've just finished Tokyo, so obviously there are some downtime. What's next, short term, long term? What's next for Kai?
Get home and move all my stuff into my new place with my partner. So my partner and I have just got a place just before I left. So the first thing I'm doing is moving all my stuff in there. But obviously I'm only 22 years old, and I could have a very long future, like 2024 Olympics or 2028 Olympics. But for me, I just never get ahead of myself. I just take everything day to day, or else I feel like it gets too much thinking, oh, I've got to train for 3 years. Whereas today I'm like, oh yeah, I'm going to do some push-ups this afternoon type of thing. So obviously hopefully I've got a long career ahead of me.
Yeah, I think so. I definitely think there's a long career in the works for sure. I
Yeah.
like to do 3 questions at the end. The first one is, what is something that you're most proud of about yourself?
Probably right now, becoming more comfortable talking about mental health. I think that's something that I'm most proud of, even including all my sporting achievements. I think this is something I'm more proud of.
Absolutely. I think it's definitely something that to be proud of. The second question is, what is your favorite quote and or the best piece of advice that you've been given?
Favorite quote would have been after I found out my grandfather had a heart attack, and he's doing all right now, just so everyone knows. Um, Obviously we're in Spain. It was really hard to be away from the family, and my coach wrote up on the board, courage over comfort. So I think that's a really good quote. Always choose courage over comfort. Advice for people, I would say probably just accept the roller coaster of it all. Sport can be extremely brutal at times. That's just a part of it. But if you persist and surround yourself with like-minded people with like-minded goals, I think success will come a lot easier.
Absolutely. The last question I have is, any tips for those that are listening or anything else that you would like to add?
Any tips? Not that I can think of on the spot. I'll just say to all the young people, just enjoy it. I think it's so easy to get caught up in sport and just caught up in results and not think about the journey. Like, I had such a fun time in Spain. Like, I had such a fun time in the village. Like, there's so many things, regardless of results, that I've enjoyed. Like, training with the girls has been amazing. And I think you got to step back and acknowledge what you've done and all the hard work you've done, regardless of the outcome of your results.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that's super important. Thank you so much for sharing as much as you have. I think it can be challenging at times to be vulnerable, but I think you've taken it in your stride, and I really appreciate you doing that.
Thanks for having me.
No worries.